Laura Bennett was at the top of her game. At 42, she was the CEO of Nexlify, a tech firm in Silicon Valley that specialized in cloud-based data solutions for Fortune 500 companies. Her leadership had taken the company public 2 years ago, and its valuation had soared to $1.2 billion. But on a rainy Tuesday morning in March 2025, everything unraveled. Laura was in her corner office, preparing for a board meeting, when her phone buzzed with an urgent message from her CTO, Vikram Patel. Systems down. All servers offline. Critical. Laura's stomach dropped. She rushed to the operations floor, where the open plan office was a hive of panic. Engineers typed furiously at their stations, screens flashing error codes. Vikram stood in the center, his face pale, barking orders into a headset. The air was thick with tension, the kind that comes when a company's lifeblood, its technology, stops flowing. Nexlify's clients, from banks to retailers, relied on its servers for real-time data processing. A crash like this wasn't just a glitch, it was a financial disaster. What happened? Laura demanded, her voice sharp but controlled. She was known for her composure, a trait that had earned her respect in a male-dominated industry. But inside, her mind was racing. A prolonged outage could cost millions, tank their stock price, and erode client trust. Vikram wiped sweat from his brow. We don't know yet. The primary servers went down at 7:32 a.m. Backups failed to kick in. We're getting error logs, but they're gibberish. It's like the system's been corrupted from the inside. Laura's heart sank. Corrupted? Are we talking hardware failure or something else? Vikram hesitated. Could be a cyber attack. We're seeing signs of unauthorized access, but the logs are incomplete. The security team's on it, but we're blind right now. Laura's mind flashed to the worst-case scenario, a data breach. Nexlify handled sensitive information, financial records, customer data, proprietary algorithms. A breach could mean lawsuits, regulatory fines, and a PR nightmare. She glanced at the clock. It was 8:15 a.m. Clients would be noticing soon, if they hadn't already. She needed answers, and she needed them fast. The next few hours were a blur. The engineering team worked frantically, pulling apart code and server logs. Laura fielded calls from anxious board members and irate clients, assuring them the issue was under control while privately dreading the opposite. By noon, the situation hadn't improved. The servers were still down, and the team had no clear diagnosis. Rumors of a ransomware attack began circulating, though no demand had surfaced. Laura's inbox was flooding with messages from investors, and social media was buzzing with speculation about Nexlify's crash. Around 1 p.m., Laura called an emergency meeting in the boardroom. The leadership team filed in: Vikram, the CFO, Maria Chun, the head of security, Ryan Foster, and the head of PR, Samantha Lee. The mood was grim. Vikram gave an update. The team had isolated a corrupted file in the server's core operating system, but every attempt to restore it triggered new errors. Ryan suggested it might be a zero-day exploit, a vulnerability no one knew existed. Maria countered that it could be an insider job, though she had no evidence yet. Samantha warned that the media was circling, and a major outlet had already reached out for comment. Laura listened, her jaw tight. We have maybe 6 hours before this spirals out of control. Clients are already threatening to pull contracts. We need a fix, not theories. What's the plan? Vikram shook his head. We're trying everything, rebooting, restoring from backups, even rolling back to last week's configuration. Nothing's working. We might need to bring in external consultants, but that'll take days. Days! Laura's voice rose. We don't have days. Our stock's already down 8%. If we're offline by market close, we're looking at a 20% drop minimum. The room fell silent. Laura felt the weight of their stares, the unspoken expectation that she, the CEO, would have a solution. But she didn't. For the first time in her career, she felt helpless. She ended the meeting, instructing the team to keep digging, and returned to her office. Alone, she stared out the window at the gray Silicon Valley skyline, her mind racing. She had built Nexlify from a startup to a powerhouse, but now it was slipping through her fingers. At 3 p.m., Laura was back on the operations floor, pacing as engineers worked. The office was quieter now, the initial frenzy giving way to exhaustion. That's when she noticed Miguel Torres, the the janitor, pushing a cart near the break room. Miguel was a familiar face, a dependable employee who had worked at Nexlify for years. He was in his late 40s, with a kind smile and a quiet demeanor. Laura had always appreciated his work ethic, though they rarely spoke beyond pleasantries. Standing next to Miguel was a teenager, maybe 16 or 17, with dark hair and a lanky frame. He was carrying a backpack, his eyes scanning the chaos of the operations floor with curiosity. Laura assumed he was Miguel's son, probably stopping by after school. She didn't give it much thought until Miguel approached her, looking hesitant. "Miss Bennett," Miguel said, his voice soft but steady. "I heard about the system crash. I might know someone who can help." Laura raised an eyebrow, caught off guard. "Someone who can help?" "Miguel, no offense, but this is a highly technical issue. Our best engineers are stumped." Miguel nodded, unfazed. "I know. But my son, Alex, he's good with computers. Really good. He's been looking at the error messages on the screens, and he thinks he knows what's wrong." Laura glanced at the boy, Alex, who was standing a few feet away, scrolling on his phone. He didn't look like a tech prodigy, just a kid in jeans and a hoodie. She forced a polite smile. "I appreciate the offer, Miguel, but we've got a team of PhDs working on this. I'm sure they've got it covered." Miguel didn't push, but Alex stepped forward, his voice calm but confident. "It's not a hardware issue or a standard virus. It's a logic bomb. I saw the error codes on that monitor over there." He pointed to a workstation where an engineer was typing. "The system's being sabotaged by a script that's rewriting its own logs to hide the source." Laura stared at him, her skepticism warring with desperation. "A logic bomb? How would you even know that?" Alex shrugged. "I've seen it before. I mess around with coding in my spare time. Built a few apps, cracked some puzzles on hacker forums. The error pattern looks like a self-propagating script that triggers when the system tries to reboot." Vikram, who had overheard, walked over, his expression a mix of irritation and curiosity. "Kid, we've been analyzing those logs for hours. What makes you think you've spotted something we missed?" Alex didn't flinch. "You're looking at the surface logs. The script's probably buried in the kernel, masquerading as a system update. It's why your backups are failing. They're infected too." Laura exchanged a glance with Vikram. The kid's confidence was disarming, but his explanation sounded plausible. She was out of options, and the clock was ticking. "Fine," she said. "Show us what you've got. But you're not touching the servers without supervision." Alex sat at a workstation, Vikram and two senior engineers, Priya and Jason, hovering over his shoulder. Laura watched from a few feet away, her arms crossed. The operations floor was quieter now, the other employees stealing glances at the teenager who had somehow become the center of attention. Alex pulled up the server logs, his fingers moving quickly across the keyboard. "The error codes are a distraction," he said, not looking up. "They're designed to make you think it's a hardware failure. But look here." He pointed to a line of code buried in the system's kernel logs. "This process is running every time you try to restart. It's rewriting the boot sequence." Priya frowned. "That's a system process. It's supposed to be there." "It's not," Alex said. "It's mimicking a legitimate process. Check the timestamp. It was added last night, 2:14 a.m. Vikram leaned closer, his eyes narrowing. "He's right. That process shouldn't have that timestamp. How did we miss this?" Alex kept typing, pulling up a secondary log. "Because it's hiding. The script's using a rootkit to mask itself. It's why your diagnostics aren't catching it. You need to isolate it in a sandbox and trace its origin." Laura felt a flicker of hope, but she kept her expression neutral. "Can you fix it?" she asked. Alex nodded. "I can try. I'll need to write a script to isolate the malicious code and purge it without crashing the system again. It'll take a couple of hours." Vikram looked at Laura, his skepticism fading. "Let him do it. We're out of ideas." Laura hesitated, then nodded. "Go ahead, Alex. But Vikram and Priya stay with you. No mistakes." For the next 2 hours, Alex worked, his focus unwavering. He wrote a custom script to isolate the malicious code, explaining each step to Vikram and Priya as he went. Laura watched, marveling at his ease with the complex system. He was a high school junior, the son of a janitor, yet he was outmaneuvering engineers with decades of experience. She overheard him mention that he had taught himself coding through online tutorials and open-source projects, spending nights debugging code while his peers played video games. By 5:30 p.m., Alex had isolated the logic bomb, a piece of malicious code designed to trigger at a specific time, corrupting the system's core files. He traced its origin to an external IP address, which he flagged for the security team. With Priya's help, he deployed a patch to purge the code and restore the servers from a clean backup. At 6:12 p.m., the system flickered back to life. Data streams resumed, and the error codes vanished. The operations floor erupted in cheers. Laura exhaled, her shoulders sagging with relief. She approached Alex, who was still at the workstation, looking unfazed. "You did it," she said, her voice softer now. "How did you learn all this?" Alex shrugged, a faint smile on his face. "My dad's always fixing things, mopping floors, unclogging pipes. I guess I like fixing things too, just digital ones. I've been coding since I was 12. It's like solving puzzles." Miguel, who had been watching quietly from the sidelines, beamed with pride. Laura turned to him. "Why didn't you tell me your son was a genius?" Miguel chuckled. "He's just Alex to me. I knew he was good with computers, but this? I had no idea." The next day, Laura called Alex and Miguel into her office. The servers were fully operational, and clients had been reassured with a carefully crafted statement from Samantha. The stock had stabilized, though it was still down 5%. Laura had spent the night reviewing the security team's findings. The logic bomb had indeed been a targeted attack, likely from a competitor or a disgruntled former employee. The investigation was ongoing, but the crisis was over, thanks to Alex. "I don't know how to thank you," Laura told Alex. "You saved us yesterday. Name your price, scholarship, internship, anything." Alex thought for a moment. "I'd like an internship. I want to learn more, maybe work on your security systems. And maybe a new laptop? Mine's pretty old." Laura laughed, a genuine sound that felt foreign after the stress of the previous day. "Done. And we'll set up a scholarship fund in your name for other kids like you. Miguel, you've raised an incredible son." Miguel nodded, his eyes misty. "He's got his mom's brains. I just keep the floors clean." Over the next few months, Alex joined Nexlify as a part-time intern, working with the security team to strengthen their defenses. Laura personally mentored him, impressed by his raw talent and humility. The board, initially skeptical, praised her for taking a chance on him. The media caught wind of a story, and soon, articles were calling Alex the janitor's kid who saved a tech giant. He hated the attention but kept working, his focus on the code, not the headlines. Laura never forgot that day. It was a reminder that brilliance could come from anywhere, even a teenager with a backpack and a knack for puzzles. Nexlify emerged stronger, its systems more secure, its culture more open. And Laura, once skeptical, made it a point to listen to every voice in the room, no matter how unlikely the source.